Walatu, Walasa, Nadia Wonso, Ayua, yeah, Mirisu, mi wona, Mirisu, mi kura, Mambo, Nadia Wonso, Ayua, yeah, Mirisu, mi wona, Mirisu, mi kura, Walatu, Walasa, Nadia Wonso, mi papa.
Welcome to another enlightening edition of Walatu, Walasa, your trusted weekly labor digest program, right here on Clock TV Beyond the Policy. This program provides the platform for in-depth discussions on the world of work, labor relations, and the institutions that shape the rise and welfare of Ghanaian workers. I am your host, Edmond Akwe. You can watch Clock TV on all our social media handles, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on channel 184 on Go TV. Today, we bring into focus a sector that quietly but powerfully shapes our health, environment, and quality of life, the Environmental Service Providers Association, ESPA. ESPA serves as the umbrella body for Ghana's private waste management and sanitation companies, working in partnership with government agencies, metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies. ESPA has been at the forefront of keeping our surroundings clean, safe, and sustainable. Behind this critical work, however, are thousands of men and women whose daily effort ensures that waste is collected, managed, and transformed into a cleaner space for all. To help us explore the story, achievements, and the challenges of this vital sector, we are privileged to host Mrs. Ama OFORI ANTWI, the Executive Secretary of the Environmental Service Providers Association, ESPA. Madam, you are most welcome to Walatu, Walasa.
Thank you.
Your Labor Digest program here on Clock TV.
Thank you.
Great. How are your members?
We are also most privileged for the opportunity and to be here to have this conversation.
Very well. You are most welcome. How are your members doing?
They are doing very well.
Your executives?
They are all doing very well.
Are you still on strike?
Currently, as we speak, we are still being engaged by government. Mm-hmm. We are having a dialogue session, and we are still in conversation with government as to how government can support us financially to continue providing the service that we are providing.
So currently, your members are doing their work.
Currently, they are still taking loans and assessing credits here and there.
Okay, so there's no strike action
because we also have to take into consideration the fact that what we do has to do with health and well-being.
Okay.
And the last time that we had that experience, there was cholera outbreak, and the city was choked with flies. It wasn't a pleasant one. So we had to reconsider all those things. And especially when we had government coming forth to intervene by engaging us. Because the nature of our work is such that government is our key partner. They give the work to us. So we are providing the service on behalf of government. So they are key partner as far as the work is concerned. So once we've cried out and they called us, we had to also hit to their call.
Very well. So as law-abiding citizens,
yes,
you are working and at the same time doing the negotiation to ensure that our environment is clean. Now, ESPA, Environmental Service Providers Association, it's not that common. Yes, I'm sure most of my viewers would say they've not heard of ESPA before, But I want you to tell us about ESPA, how it all began, what led to the formation of ESPA, Environmental Service Providers Association.
Thank you. Environmental Service Providers Association, we call ourselves ESPA. ESPA has been in existence since 2001. And it's an association of private waste contractors. The history was when those days that we had the pit latrine, when they do the collection and then government was not able to pay them, then they came together and then formed an association. Okay. So true that the association has migrated, and then it was formalized in 2001 with its registration and everything done at the Registrar General. So that's the history. Before it even became formalized, I don't know whether I remember those days, they used to use donkeys to collect waste in the country. Yes. So it was those small groups when they provide service for government, and then government has to pay them, and then the payments were delaying. Then they decided to come together as a group so that they can always do at their own advocacy to get government to pay them. So that's the history, and that's the formation of ESPA.
So somewhere in 2001,
it was formed.
It was formalized now.
Yeah, it was formalized.
So what are your structures like?
So it says an association, just as I indicated earlier, of private waste contractors. But the membership is varied. So the ESPA now is the secretariat. So we are more or less like an NGO. And we coordinate the activities of our members. And our membership varied. We have the formal contractors as well as the informal contractors. So for the formal contractors, we have the big companies like the Zoom Lion, J. Stanley Owusu, Jekura Ventures, Asadu. And our membership is nationwide. Our membership is not limited to only Accra. We are in all the 16 regions of Ghana. As part of the formal contractors, those are those who do the door-to-door collection. We have the members who are also into landfills. They are specialized in managing the final disposal sites. I also have, that's where Waste Landfill is one of them. Oti Landfills is also there. Yes. And then when it comes to transfer stations, we have members who are into transfer stations. I have members who are into recycling. We've all put them into groups. So they are also like small associations on their own. So ESPA is the umbrella body. I have members who are into e-waste. So for the e-waste, we have the big companies, formal companies, and then the informal. So like city waste like this, they are experts in e-waste. Then I also have members who are into liquid waste, that is toilet waste, liquid waste treatment facilities. So with the liquid waste, we have the formal and then the informal. We have the big companies like sewage systems, Safisana. They are all part of the association. They turn waste, liquid waste, into valuable things that we can use. Even with Safisana, they are into ECG, electricity generation. They've connected into the national grid, and they are able to supply.
Using compost?
Yes, they use the organic food waste from the markets. Use it, go through the anaerobic digestion process. It goes through a process, and at the end of the day, this value is generated. I also have, even with the liquid waste, we have the union, that's the drivers. They are the MTS. They are the ones, you see them with the trucks, the septic MTS. So they go and pull the toilets from there, and then it's sent to the treatment facilities. So that's why I said I have the formal and as well as the informal.
Thank you very much. For more clarity to our viewers, we want to look at the different types of waste within the system. Then you address them by telling us which organization.
If I don't add my informal people, they will not be happy. We also have, as part of the membership, the informal people. So with the informal people, their membership is where we have the aboboya, those who use the aboboya to do the door-to-door collection. We have the sachet pickers. We have the scrap dealers. They are all part of the association. We even have the waste pickers at the landfills.
Great. So taking that into consideration, what would liquid waste, for instance, would be handled by a bigger company?
That's sewage system.
Sewage. We have handled by those sewage trucks that we see.
No, when they do the collection, we have the union. So the union is, we have associations. We have like Odogono, we have Achimota, we have Medina, we have Afariwa. So there are also groups. They are the septic FT, the pullers. I don't know whether you are familiar with them. They come to your doorstep to come and dislodge.
Yeah.
So when they dislodge, now they send it to the treatment facility. And currently the treatment facility in Accra is Accra Compost, and then the sewage system. It used to be, we used to call it Lavender Hill. Through the work.
That one was in Lungwa or something, touching Lungwa.
There was one too at Lungwa, but that one has been closed. It's currently not operational.
Okay, so where's the current one? Which one is operational?
The Lavender Hill. They call it sewage system.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So it's no longer Lavender Hill. Now we treat the waste.
So there's no smell there.
No. You should go. You should pay a visit there and see how the whole process.
That is located where?
Near, close to Kolebu.
Okay.
The high street,
the
high street.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so I think where the Kole Lagoon.
Yes.
Very well. So I want us to break it down a little bit as to looking at the different types of waste that we might find in the system. Okay, now you've mentioned liquid waste. Which other waste again can we find in
when we talk about waste, I want to talk about the classification of waste.
Yes.
In Ghana, we have the organic, which forms the biggest component of the waste fraction, which is about 60%. Now that we've introduced a lot of innovation and we are encouraging Ghanaians to go into recycling, we have the plastics, we have the glass, we have paper, we have electronics. So that is the fraction. That is how our waste comes in. And then finally you get the hazardous bits, which is also handled. So if currently we do not do segregation at household level, but then there's some level of recycling and segregation going on where these products are selected, and then you realize that right now scraps is good in Ghana. There's a lot of scraps business going on because there's a market for it. It's the same way we are promoting the plastics and then the electronics, the other components as well, so that we can have. So basically this is how the fraction of our waste looks like.
Our waste looks like, so we have the solid, we have the liquid, we have the industrial, we have the hazardous, and we have the e-waste.
No, I just talked about the solid waste.
The solid.
I talked about the fractions of the solid waste. But apart from the solid waste, we have the liquid waste, we have the hazardous waste, we even have the industrial waste. Yes. And we have even like when they pull down a structure and all those things, so heavy, the
debris that come out.
So I thought you were asking for the waste, the component of a fraction of waste.
Yes, as in a country.
Yes.
Okay, so let's say a marketplace, for instance. When you go, what kind of waste would you normally find?
Okay, so for the marketplace, it's mainly organic. That it has to do with the food waste. Okay. But right now, when you go to a market like Ashama, we have every market. There are a lot of plastics. You see a lot of sachet. You see a lot of plastic products, a lot of electronic products. So the majority of the waste that you would find at the marketplace will be that of the food waste.
The food waste.
Because, with our culture and our, we like our organic stuff, our fufu, plantain, even with our fresh vegetables. And so most of the things are organic. Yes, so that's how when you get to the markets, you see maybe about 50-60% being organic.
Organic waste. Now let's take it for an industrial area, for instance. What kind of waste can you also find in an industrial area? So
for an industrial area, when you get to the place, it depends on what is happening. Okay. So if it's a fabric, you can have textiles. So you can have fabrics ending up as waste in that. If it's paper production, if it is metallic, so the type of industry would determine the end of the products that will be coming out. So with the industrial waste too, that is it happens.
Okay.
Yes.
Madam, can you tell us about hazardous waste? How
Okay.
that one comes?
With the hazardous waste, most of the time, you can get some from even Ghanaians. I'm sure most Ghanaians, even with their bobs, those ones, the way it's even handled, they are not supposed to be handled that way.
Yeah.
But more often than not, we refer to maybe the mining staff, the petroleum staff, the big industries, the oils and all those things. More often than not, those are the ones who would always call us. As even with the mobile phones and other things, even there are some components in them that are hazardous. But with the hazardous, it's mainly we refer to the big ones.
Big ones. We don't really see those minor ones.
Even
the
in our offices, the photocopiers and the printers and even the toners, how we dispose them of. Even the toners can be referred to as very hazardous waste. But more often than not, we only look at the things coming out from maybe the mining sector, the petrochemicals and all those things, those dirty oils and those that are very personal.
The grease.
So more often than those are the ones that we refer to as the hazardous waste.
Yet they are petty ones that we come close to.
They are not petty. It's because we've not been educated to acknowledge them that they are also hazardous.
So we don't.
So as we get this platform, use this platform to educate people to make sure that they dispose of their waste appropriately.
Yeah.
Yes. Even medical waste, especially. You know, the needles.
Yeah.
And so even when you go to every good hospital, you realize that they have classifications.
Yeah.
They have they have rubbers with colors to determine what waste goes into which polythene bag based on the colors. So when it comes to hazardous waste, it's also very broad. Medical waste, some medical waste falls within that
particular category. Thanks for that education, madam. So let's look at ESPA. Before its formation, or after its formation, let's look at your vision and your mission.
Okay. With our vision is to ensure that we work with government to provide a sustainable waste management for the nation Ghana.
Great.
And we complement government's efforts for the mission. We complement government effort in solving problems within the metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies. So that is what we stand
That's great.
for.
So we can say that it's a public-private partnership project.
Definitely.
Now, let's take a look at those categories of people that fall under your association. Okay, you had already made mention of certain companies or contractors. Would you want to give us a classification as to, let's say, Zoom Lion, for instance? What kind of waste do they manage? Just Dakro, you mentioned one.
Jakura Ventures.
And, the major ones. How are they helping? Which kind of waste are they managing?
Okay, thank you. When it comes to waste management, and when we take even Accra, for instance, we have over 30 companies working within the Greater Accra region. There's a Gamma area. And
it's called a Ghana area.
Yes, I'm happy to say Zoom Lion did a very good job with branding, and I think we need to give it to them, and they've also been doing very good work.
They became a household name.
Yes. So what happens is even the other service providers, if they are not even working, because Ghanaians know Zoom Lion, everybody blames Zoom Lion. But I'm happy to say we have close to about 30 other companies working door to door. When we take Zoom Lion is big, and they have really advanced. Zoom Lion has gone to the extent of even doing the carbon mitigation. So Zoom Lion has really advanced. And they have recycling plants. They are into the liquid waste treatments, and then what have you. They even do the hazardous. In terms of innovation, they've done very well. I'm also happy to say that apart from Zoom Lion, companies like JSO, J. Stanley Owusu, Jakura Ventures, for instance, they collect around your area, the ministries enclave, and they have introduced segregation at households. They have introduced recycling. That the households should segregate their waste. So when you do that, they also make sure that even for your door-to-door fees, if you are supposed to pay maybe 80 Ghana, they will give you a discount so that you pay maybe 60 Ghana a month. And so that is a good innovation that Jakura Ventures is also doing. They also have the fortified fertilizer. They are into different types of composting. And there are others, Asadu, Amanieji, and K Waste, Honest Waste, Kobe Waste, Zibel. If I don't, the way you are pushing me, if I don't mention somebody's company,
I want you to mention
Liberty
because we are yet to know. We never knew that all
Waste.
these waste companies are within the system
No,
trying to manage our waste.
We have a lot of. We have a lot of.
So for my viewers, it is very, very important.
Asibod, Tema. We have Asibod there. There are a lot of waste companies. As far as Accra is concerned, we have even G Waste, Maxworld. Maxworld is in Accra. We have Liberty Waste, Dansoman area, and then Alliance Waste. We have close to 30 companies. I can't mention all the 30.
I understand you. See, this conversation is getting interesting. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we will look more into the waste management area of ESPA and look at their scope and the reasons why we still have debt in our system. We'll be right back.
Walatu, Walasa, Nadia, Wonso, Ayua, Mirisumi.
Ghana is in an era where evidence-based policy making is fundamental. Policy polls seeks to bring clarity, transparency, and accountability into focus, demystifying public service and government business for the citizenry while also sparking informed dialogue. It provides an emergent, non-partisan platform for examining the role of the public service in shaping governance and public service delivery in Ghana. This series offers a comprehensive dive into the policies, frameworks, and operations guiding public service institutions, analyzing how they align with national development goals and how they affect the everyday lives of Ghanaians. Policy polls will also provide an outlook on public policies behind emergent public agenda, exploring policy gaps, challenges, and its implementation. Each episode focuses on a specific public service institution, dissecting the policies they operate under, their implementation approaches, and the impacts on the ground. Policy polls, demystifying policies, making it simple.
Lifestyle Extra. You called, we answered. This is your extended lifestyle show that touches on every aspect of our lives, be it health, fashion, sports, business, and so much more.
We've got you covered. We are here to share the exciting moments, the
Mambo, Nadia, Wonso, Ayua,
Welcome back, viewers. And we are still on your show, Walatu, Walasa. We still have in our studio our able guest in the person of Mrs. Ama OFORI ANTWI. She is the Executive Director of, the Executive Secretary of the Environmental Service Providers Association. She has been walking us through what waste management is and how to go about it. Madam, thank you for your insights. But let me ask you, in doing all this, it is a public-private partnership project. How are you or your members able to collaborate with government to be able to carry on these waste management processes?
Thank you. Per the environmental sanitation policy, the policy is even advocating that when it comes to sanitation or the waste management sector, 80% of the work should be outsourced to the private sector. Okay. So as a result of that, we have this collaboration with all the metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies, and we provide service on their behalf. So we have varied, how do you call it? Contracts. So the contracts are not the same. So we have members who are doing the door-to-door, and that one we call it the franchise contracts. So with the franchise contracts, per the agreement, the assemblies are supposed to provide the final disposal sites for the members to send the waste. And even if you really care to know, when we collect waste, at the end of the day, waste belongs to the government. It's government's property, and it is government's responsibility.
That's interesting.
To ensure that it is managed properly, yes. Because if it is not done properly, it will be so dangerous to the lives of the Ghanaians.
The citizens,
yes. Yeah. So that's why it cannot be, government cannot be left out when it comes to our sector. Yeah. Yes. So we have different types of contracts that we manage with the assemblies. So those who are doing landfills have their own contracts with the assemblies. And those who are doing door-to-door, those who are doing fumigation, those who are doing SIP, Special Intervention Program. Yeah. That's where you see the waste, the containers. You realize that there are some assemblies or municipalities that you see these big central containers. So per the service you are providing, you go into that kind of agreement with government, and then you provide the service on behalf of the assembly that has engaged you. So that's how we do our work.
It's so great to hear from your submission. It means that ESPA in itself works directly in hand with government.
Yes.
In serious
the members. As I indicated earlier on, right now the secretariat is like we are an NGO. Yes. We coordinate and then facilitate the work of our members. We serve as an interface between our members and other key stakeholders. Yes. And our work purposely is advocacy to push them, to push their sector, to ensure that people get to know what the members are doing. And one of our key mandates is also to ensure that members' concessions with the assemblies are protected. Yes, government ensures that, because when it comes to waste management, when you invest, it takes a long time to make investment and to get returns. So we ensure that the contracts with the assemblies are secured for the members so that they can continue providing their service. So these are some of the key things we also do for our members.
Great. So let's take a market square, for instance, would have one of your members managing the particular market square, depending on the kind of...
So for the market squares and then the commercial areas, those ones all depend on the assembly. So I know, for instance, AMA, the market area, is being handled by Maxwell. But then, again, AMA as an assembly also occasionally does some sort of interventions and also do some of the collection and also make sure that they are part of the process. So our work is such that we work hand in hand with the assemblies that are involved.
Because we are worried, because sometimes we see heap of rubbish at the market station, at the market squares, the lorry stations, heap of rubbish, and nuisance for the commuters over there. Why is this so?
I wish you would
pass this question on to
no,
somebody else.
You compliment what the private sector has done. It used to be worse. I don't know whether if you remember. It used to be worse. But currently, as we speak, when it comes to the commercial areas, for instance, when you take Agbogboshi, you take AMA, the number of people that come in within a day, even from dawn, between the hours of even 4 a.m. to 3 p.m., you have no clue. You realize that anytime the population of an area increases, so is the waste, because each human being generates some amount of waste. So with the commercial areas, I must admit that those are the problematic areas. That is where you get to see maybe rubbish being all over, spotted and dotted all over. But what we should know as Ghanaians also is that currently we've all developed these bad habits where people, even in the commercial areas, people will get up at dawn and go and add rubbish to the existing ones already.
Rubbish from where? From their homes?
From their homes. They put it in their cars. And some people also contract these junkies. You know, these boys, they'll come and pick from your house. And you don't even know where they are sending it to. So they look out for the commercial areas. And once they see that there's already some refuse there, then they'll go and add theirs to it. And we undertook some exercise some few months, and we caught a lot of people.
Wow.
So these are some of the bad practices going on. But when it comes to commercial areas, we should anticipate some of these challenges. But then what can happen? If the government can cushion the private sector properly, they can increase their workforce and solve this problem. So now that government is talking about the 24-hour economy, this is where we would call on government and say, you need to come close to that sector and then support the sector. Because when it comes to waste management, even the best time to do the collection is in the night, so that by morning, the whole city is clean. Then during the day, we just have some skeleton staff to ensure that the collection process is going on. Then in the night, it starts again to ensure that we can have our city clean. So this is one of the strategies that will help the huge refuges that we've been seeing around
to reduce,
dotted all over the city. It only happens at the commercial areas.
Yes, you're right. But, let's take a circle as a commercial area. It's a trotro station. It's a place that people pass to their homes, to their workplace and all that. So the place is mostly populated now. That's what they are saying. Now, there's another city somewhere in Europe. Maybe you find it, let's say, in Switzerland or in Finland. The same number of people come in. They leave. But yet, that city is clean. And down here, it is not. What's the difference? Is it behavioral attitude, or is the institutions that are... Where does the fault come from? I'm
happy you have answered the question. It has to do with our attitude, our behavior, how we even perceive the waste.
Yeah.
Would you be surprised if I tell you that people will tell you that if I don't litter, what work will Zoom Lion do? Can you imagine? So if we have a mindset like this, so we as Ghanaians, we need to change our mindsets, and we need to start with the kids, with their children, and then let them appreciate and understand how to manage waste properly. I think if we are able to target the next generation, we'll be able to solve this problem.
Like this.
Yes, by kindly the mentality and then the idea that people think, no, I've paid for it. And so because of that, somebody else has to be responsible for it. I think it's one of the key challenges. But key to all this has to do with behavioral and then the enforcement of the sanitation bylaws. We need to enforce our bylaws. It's one of the key things lacking. And then we also have to ensure that we also have some structures to support the system. And what am I talking about? we need to have more transfer stations in, because the waste is not supposed to travel more than 40 kilometers in terms of turnaround.
Okay.
But currently we do about 90 kilometers turnaround, because the nearest waste landfills is at Adipa. So you are going to travel about 90
Which
kilometers.
part of Accra?
It's always almost at Nsawam.
Nsawam area. Okay.
And then the other one is at Chema. We also have a lot of illegal dump sites around anyway. But then, to solve this problem, we need to have enough transfer stations, dotted advantage points, so that when we collect the waste, we can do the turnaround within 40 kilometers and come back and solve the problem.
Sure.
So, for the waste we see in the commercial areas, it's partly due to attitudinal enforcement of our bylaws and also infrastructure. And then we also need to also improve on the workforce as well. That's as I indicated. With the advanced countries, you realize that they work 24/7. It's around the clock. So you'd see people in uniform doing their picking, and they've also provided central containers where people can put in those waste. But in Ghana, we've tried several times. Even when we did it with blocks, it was broken. We did it with plastics, they were stolen. We did it with metals, they were stolen. So how can we even place central containers, advantage places, so that
they will vanish? It's a problem.
So more of attitude now. So we need to change our behavior. And we need to get the assemblies to enforce the bylaws.
I'm wondering whether we are ready to change, because talking about sanitation itself, I remember when I was growing up, some years back, yes, we were taught, good sanitation practices, whereby to some extent, when you even finish eating your yogurt, you put it in your pocket and wait when you get home before you dump it. But still, this attitude of not, taking care of our environment still exists, and that is a worrying situation. Now, let's look at the home situation. Okay, how would you want to manage your waste in the house? Let's say a family of a compound house of about 20 or 15 to 20 people. How would you advise them to manage their waste, taking into consideration all the types of waste that would be generated in that particular environment?
Thank you. When it comes to waste management, we need to develop a culture where we would have to learn how to store waste properly. I think that is one of our problems in this country. The reason why we still have a lot of flies and rodents, because most of our waste still ends up on the ground and also ends up in our drains and gutters and what have you. So for every household, what we will recommend is to ensure that even if it's a compound house, looking at the volumes that they are generating, if they generate a lot of waste daily, then each household should have its own 240-liter bin and make sure that they put their waste into it. If not, the household will have to share a dustbin or maybe share 2 dustbins, then they have to come together, make sure that they are able to afford and have 2 dustbins so that they can do their storage of waste properly. Now, when you even segregate your waste, the janitors, when they are coming to pick the waste, now they know the value for plastics. So even when you mix the waste together, before they even pour it,
you see them separating.
You see them that they sort out the valuable plastics. We have different valuables, different types of plastics that are valuable, and there are some that are not useful. The one time, or the ones that we use, the single-use plastics, for those ones, they don't really need it. So if the households are able to even separate the bottles and the sachet, and then the janitors come, they would pick them, and then they can also go and sell those ones. So for the households, what we plead with them is they should learn to store waste properly. They should not tie them in sacks. They should not tie them in rubbers and expect us to come and pick them from the ground. So it makes the work difficult for us. And apart from that, if we want to prevent diseases and then make sure that our environment is clean, just like all the advanced countries, even before you get to the house, you already have a bin. And if there will be recycling, the bins have been provided already. Yeah. And there are days that are given for the contractors to pick the waste based on the agreement with the when it's UK council. Yes. So going forward, these are some of the good practices we also have to learn and then implement them.
Yes, I think when it starts at home, people know how to manage their waste at home. It means that when they get to their work environment, they'll be able to, manage waste that is generated within that work environment. But now, let's look at the critical area that is, for me, is an eyesore, as a country. When you go to our beaches, all you find at the shore is plastic waste. Does your organization, otherwise your association, don't have service providers around that side?
I know there was a company called Zoll. Apart from Zoll, there were other companies who were all involved in beach cleaning, and they've been doing it for some time now. Yeah. Apart from that, I know there are a lot of NGOs and good civil small societies that do the beach cleaning occasionally. And what happens is, just as we've just talked about, is attitude. When you get to the beach, and then maybe infrastructure is also lacking. When you get to the beach and you have your drink or you have your food, when you finish, even the people working at the beach, are they taxed to ensure that the place is clean? So these are some of the things that we have to do as a nation. Enforcement. The metropolitan, municipal, and district assemblies have a key role when it comes to enforcing our sanitation bylaws. For us to be successful, we need to get them to also support us so that they enforce the bylaws. So, for instance, if there is a beach and there's a resort, definitely there are people working there. The people, have they employed sanitation workers or experts to handle the waste at the beach, at the facility for them? So if indeed the assembly is responsible, then the assembly has to ensure that their beaches and then the beach fronts are always clean. And this is where we even have to, this is a form of tourism attraction. And this is one of the good indicators of sanitation. If your environment is clean and your beaches are clean, you attract tourists into your country. And it's a form of development for us. Yes, so this is one key area that should not be neglected.
Yes, madam, when was the last time you went to the beach, if I may ask? Let's say
I went to the beach,
or in Jamestown Beach.
I went to the beach not long ago. But when I went, it wasn't dark, so it was fairly clean. Yes. But I realized that it is in the morning. So I got to know that even in the night, people, the residents around,
go and dump refuse
also
there.
Get up in the night at dawn and go and dump their refuse by the beaches. So this is why we are asking for enforcement.
And what is this other thing that when it starts raining, the people bring rubbish from their rooms and dump it in the rainwater?
It's one of the bad attitudinal habits that we have in this country. So Ghanaians,
don't you see that
the assumption is it is raining, the rain is heavy, the rain is going to wash away the dirt. It will end up in the sea, or it might end up in a big drain, and then it will carry it away. So why don't I add the waste so that the rainwater will carry it away from me? And these are all bad attitudes that we have that has to be changed. So we need a lot more education for people to understand that that is not the way to go. And you see, when it comes to even the Ghanaian waste, the kind of things in Ghanaian waste, you have no idea.
All sort of things.
You can't even see, people defecates,
Yes.
toilets, tie it in black polythenes, and even add it to the solid waste. And this is one of the causes of cholera. It's not good.
It's not good.
So how we even handle our waste and manage our waste is very important, you see. So we need to change our attitude.
I think this is a call for all Ghanaians, and more especially workers. We are supposed to be in the know. We should know the right thing and always do the right thing when it comes to waste management. But let's touch on this particular issue, plastic waste and recycling. Is it going on in Ghana? Are we able to recycle our plastic waste?
Yes, we are able to do that. Currently, the market is picking up. It's becoming vibrant. But if not, we have a lot of big recycling companies already who are into recycling. And most of them are also looking for the virgin materials, depending on what products they are looking for.
Okay.
So when it comes to plastics, we have different types of plastics.
Okay.
And then the demand for each specific plastic is also there, depending on the industry and then what they... I know most of the time it's pelleted and then they sent it to the organizations. Like I know one recycling company, UPPR, they are able to reproduce the dustbins again by making sure that they pelletize the old ones, add it to virgin materials. The molds are there, so they are able to do the plastic chairs, reproduce our dustbins again, rubber bowls, rubber buckets. So there's a lot of recycling going on. And when you go to this area, that is the hub.
Okay.
We have a lot of aggregators, wireless.
Is it like wireless or?
No, the one in getting towards La Paz.
Oh, okay. There's an area called
Yes. So we have the small ones. We have a lot of the aggregators there. Bubuashi area there. Yes. And I must say the informal sector is also doing a lot of great work when it comes to the recycling. So with all those recycling going on, you realize that now there's value for the sachet, there's value for the plastics. You realize that you see people walking in town, picking the bottles, picking sachet water. Yes. So even if we can do it at the house, it means the value will become better. The off-takers, those who need this product, will get it whilst it's very, very clean. Yes.
Then they can just recycle it for another use. Yeah. I'm talking about paper, plastic waste and recycling. Why? Because Ghana is like, everything is about plastic. You go to the market, you buy egg, it's put it in the plastic. You move to the next shop, you buy another item, you are given another polythene bag. So but before you get home, if you have 10 items you bought, you have 10 different polythene bags for it. Why don't we advocate for the use of paper, which is more of a dissolvable waste than plastic? I
think I agree with you. Going forward, this is one policy area that government needs to promote. Right. Meanwhile, with the plastics, government also needs to hold those who are producing it accountable. So this is where we as an association is calling on government to implement the extended producer responsibility. We need that law in place so that those who are producing the plastics will be responsible for its end life. And then they also contribute to the recycling process. So that way, once there are measures put in place to ensure that the polluters are also responsible, I'm sure the reduction would happen. Because right now, that is the way to go. That's why we talk about the 3 R's. Now, you have to recover, we have to reuse, and then recycle. So we now
that's the 3 what?
The 3 R's.
The 3 R's.
The 3 R's.
For the purpose of our viewers, I want them to know what it is. So that,
the 3 R's. Right now, what we are promoting is we need to reduce. You know, right now, if you can get an individual having 3-4 phones, it's not necessary. If you can use one phone and it will be useful.
So
then,
that's the reduction.
Yeah, the reduction. Then the reuse. That is where we are asking the external producer responsibility to be part of the process so that their products, single use, we can put them to something use again. Then before we finally recycle. So with the recycling, we can add value to the product and turn it into another useful thing before eventually its lifespan will end. So if you are not practicing the 3 R's, it means you always have refuse ending up at the final disposal site. That is the innovation that we are talking about.
Great.
So we need to make sure that everything do not end up on the final disposal site, but then some of the products are treated, some of the products are reused, and some of the products are recycled.
Well, viewers, I think the 3 R's should be one of your major takes after this program for you to practice as an individual and also as a nation. We'll be right back after this break.
Walatu, walasa, daddy, I want some. Ayuwa, yeah, yeah.
To add all those test flight application to something like this. Yes. Oh, that's quick. That's crazy. That was quick. He's going to be able to draw a level. Yeah. Wow. Wow.
Welcome back, viewers, and we are on your show, Walatu, Walasa, your Labor Digest program here on Clock TV. I still have in the studio Mrs. Ama OFORI ANTWI, the Executive Secretary of Environmental Service Providers Association. Now, Madam, if I look at your website, I can see major areas that ESPA, finds themselves, working in. Recycling services. We also have waste collection. Then we have organic compost production. Then land filling. And I think that's about that. You've spoken about the recycling. Let's look at the organic compost production. What does that really tell us? What does it involve?
Okay, for the organic composting, you realize that, as I indicated earlier, 60% of our waste is almost organic.
Okay.
So what the companies have been doing, that's the integrated recycling and compost plants, and then the Accra compost plants. Okay. They have been turning this waste into compost. So they are able to produce composts, and these composts are used on farms.
Great.
Yes, I told you that Jekora Ventures also does a similar thing. And I know there are some other companies also who are also producing their compost.
The compost. Okay.
Yes. So with the composting, this is what happens. So it's like manure, but it's an advanced form of manure. It's not fertilizer though, because everything, the outcome is all organic products. Okay. So they use it in farming, lawns, beautification of our lawns,
Okay.
growing of our vegetables,
Okay.
and with the innovation, they've even come out with different types of composts, depending on the needs. So they have some for farms, some for lawns, some for even cocoa farms and what have you.
So that's about the.
So they have, some of the companies even have agreements with institutions, and they produce the compost for them. They pick it and use it on their farms
Or whatever they want to use it for. Okay, so that's about compost, organic compost production. Let's look at land filling.
With land filling,
Yes.
ideally, we're supposed to be having engineered landfills in the country.
But we don't have.
Yes, so with the engineered landfills, we would have been collecting the gases, and then treatment of the leachates, and also ensure that the gas is harvested, so energy is generated
Out of it.
which can also use to service maybe the plants.
Yeah.
But currently, as I speak, there's no engineered landfills in Ghana.
So that's a challenge for us.
Yeah, we used to have in Accra, Tema, Tamale, Takrady, but currently, as I speak, they are all not engineered, but they are landfills that we are using.
Okay, very well, Madam. So let's look at in generality. You've mentioned one of your major partners as the public, or otherwise government. Now let's look at some other stakeholders that you work with.
We work with the media.
Okay.
We work with academia. We work with development partners. We work with other associations like the Ghana Plastic Manufacturers Association. We work with the AGI. We work with the schools. We work with the institution, Ghana Education Service.
So does that mean you carry out training programs?
Like one of our key partners is the School of Hygiene.
Great.
So with the School of Hygiene in the past, when we get grants and support, they train our informal sector on how they can handle their waste, on their health and safety. So we work in collaboration with a lot of other key stakeholders and partners.
How about EPA, Environmental Protection?
Yeah, key partners. We work with them. Yeah, we work with MESI, and then we work with the authority now. So we work with the Ministry of Local Governments, Ministry of Health. We work with the Ministry of Environment as well. That's what I said, with the development partners. Yeah.
In addition, I think your work is very critical when it comes to protecting the environment.
And all other associations you can think of.
Including CLOSAC.
Yes. and CLOSAC is
Clock
doing,
TV.
Clock TV. And CLOSAC is doing a very good job.
I think one thing you also have to let your other partners know, that is those who manage waste around the ministries, to know is that they have to try to introduce waste separation within our ministerial.
Jekora did it, and Jekora is still promoting it.
I think they have to ring the
bell
bell again.
So imagine, even with the ministry, that we are assuming that everybody is educated and learning.
There are difficulties.
With the segregation, they even failed. Yes. But Jekora Ventures is doing that.
Well, we pray that Ghanaians will learn to change their attitude towards waste management for a better and clean environment. But let's look at the strategic priorities going forward for ESPA. What are some of your strategies that you want to put across moving on?
Thank you. In terms of strategy, just as I've indicated earlier on, we are of the view that we need government on board. When it comes to waste financing, there's a big gap because the sector, at the end of the day, is for public good, and government has a role to play. So we need government to have a dedicated fund to support our sector. We are even thinking that there's no need for even the members to continue to go back to their households to collect their monies after they've come to collect their waste, especially those who are doing the door-to-door.
Yeah.
In all advanced countries or in all the countries that they have been successful, what happens is the management of waste is done in a tax form.
Yeah.
And they always use the polluter pay principles. So there are taxes put on things like electricity, water, what have you. And then the council, when you take that of the UK, for example, they have what they call the council tax. So it is the council tax that is used to pay a contractor for providing a service within a particular jurisdiction. So you are paid per tonnage for collection. So in terms of strategy, indeed, if government is committed and government wants to see Ghana clean, I think this is one area that government needs to look at. Now that we did the population and housing census, we know we have the geographical locations.
Yes.
An assembly can determine the number of households in a particular area. And then based on that, when you are giving the contract, they'll pay you per the tonnage for collection. And so you don't have extra work to go back to the households to collect your money.
Yeah.
And this has resulted in the situation where the service providers will only go to the places where they are paying. So for the poor communities where they are not willing to pay, you realize that you will not see the service providers being active there because of the nature of the work. The work is such that it's capital intensive. So if I'm coming to work and at the end of the day, I'm not going to get any reward, I will not come there. So you realize that the houses and the places that are well organized, the well-organized estates, the well-organized communities, the place is always clean because the people working, the service providers are committed to the work they do and they ensure that they do their collection regularly, though occasionally they might have challenges. But for the poor communities where people are not willing to pay, let alone subscribe to their service, they will also not come. So if Ghana wants to attain its cleanliness agenda, we should look at how we can finance the sector such that the private, there will be an enabling environment for the private sector to thrive and then to continue to provide the service that they need to provide for Ghanaians.
I think that's a good submission. Very well to government. Now, to Ghanaians and workers in general, what message do you have for them as a waste management expert?
Thank you. When it comes to Ghanaians, what I want to say is when it comes to sanitation, sanitation is a shared responsibility. We all have a role to play. Me as a service provider have a role to play. You as a citizen, you also have a role to play. You also have to ensure that you do your storage properly and also pay for the service. Once the service providers come and render their services, we do not have to come back begging you to pay for the service that we have provided. So sanitation is a shared responsibility. Let us all take part and ensure that we do the right things to protect our country. We are Ghanaians. Nobody would come and clean this country for us. So we have to ensure that we clean it. And again, let's support the local companies. We keep saying that the private sector is the engine of growth. So even with the private waste contractors in this country, I am calling on government to support them, give them the necessary support in terms of policy, in terms of leverage, in terms of the environment, so that we can continue to also thrive and do the right things for this country.
What a revealing conversation this has been. about the world of environmental services, a field that often goes unnoticed, yet touches every aspect of our daily lives. To our guest, Mrs. Ama OFORI ANTWI, the Executive Secretary of ESPA, we say thank you for coming through to come and give us this in-depth information and insights. We are very, very much grateful for your time. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Now, let's take a critical look at what I have on my table. I am sure many of you are admiring and wondering what it symbolizes. This is Walatu Walasa's campaign against illegal mining in Ghana, popularly known as Galamsey. Walatu Walasa is appealing to the conscience of all those involved in this brutal act, right from the top of operations to the lowest person who is involved in Galamsey, to take a critical look into the future of our country, Ghana, and put a stop to this act that will destroy our beloved country. We are calling for responsible mining, which we believe falls within the environmental balance of our country, Ghana. Ghana needs clean water. Madam, you want to fill the water? This is clean water that we need, and not the brown water that we currently see. Stop Galamsey. Responsible mining is the key. And as we bring this edition of Walatu Walasa to a close, I leave you with this quote from Wangari Maathai, the late Kenyan environmentalist and Nobel laureate. We owe it to ourselves and to our children to conserve the environment so that the future generations can enjoy the beauty and bounty of nature. Thank you for staying with us on Walatu Walasa, where we keep the spirit of work and dignity alive. Work hard, stay focused, be productive, and on a very good day, don't break the rules. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Walatu Walasa,